music. I think that should be fine. And just a little bit in the background. What's up, everybody? Whoa, it's been a while. I'm Francisco. It's Sports Goofs number 170. Yeah, I think I got that right. Last time was 169. Very nice. But it's 170. I'm joined by my buddy Charles here on the side. It's been a bit, Charles. How you doing? How's it going?
I'm good. I am learning to be a good kung fu master right now instead of being a bad boy kung fu master that I was.
This
currently
is
playing SIFU.
It's Francisco and Charles shows. It's about to get stupid up in here.
The best kind.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, and it's a late start, so we're not going to be here for too long, as far as I know. You know, sometimes we just keep talking until, we just like to hear ourselves talk. But this is more for us, and if anybody wants to tune in and listen to it, go ahead. You're welcome. You know, we're shilling Final Fantasy 15 War for EOS on mobile phones. That's the thing there on the side. Yeah, that's what we're shilling today, Charles. So if y'all want to sign up, you can reach power level 100,000. I don't know how long that takes, but it's free to play. It's on your mobile phones and all that stuff. It's Final Fantasy 15. I've never played the actual Final Fantasy 15, but I think like the mini version of it's on the Switch, the Pocket Edition. Yeah, that one. I think that's on the Switch.
Oh shit!
I don't know if the other one's like PS. I'm sure it's on the Xbox and PS4 and all that stuff.
Oh, I died.
The main one. But that's So just go on Twitch. There's a panel there. You can click on there and get on the link, and you get some nice goodies as part of that. And Square Enix might actually throw us some cents if you feel like doing that. So I have never played a Final Fantasy game, Charles.
I haven't either. I played Kingdom Hearts, which is kind of like counterproductive because Final Fantasy, if it comes to pure characters, it's easiest stuff to wiki. When it comes to the story, I got no idea. Like I figured out Cloud and Squall and everything when it was the intro. But
it's like Zelda, right? Well, kind of like they're all different entries. They're not all, I guess, for the most part, not connected, as far as I know. I think I don't
know if you get continuing people. You know what I mean?
Like Sephiroth kind of travels in between different like Kingdom Hearts as well and stuff like that. But aside from that, I don't know what else.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, it could be good, it could be bad. I know people like it. I'm not going to kill this guy because apparently that's what they say. But hey, he's trying to kill me.
All right, so
sorry.
This is a sports show, everybody, but we'll focus on. Actually, you know what? I want to get this going because I feel like gloating a bit right now.
I just killed him by accident. Sorry.
I feel like gloating a bit right now, Charles. I think I've been inspired by listening to local sports radio. I listened to Brendan Tobin earlier today on 560. I think 560, right? They're still alive?
Yeah.
I think 790 ticket was the one that closed down. And then
790 closed down. They became like the Hawkman and Crowder show, which just isn't my gig.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I haven't listened in a while. And then of course I listened to Dan Levitard, his show, the Local Hour, which is always fun.
Like. Yeah.
So that's been really fun to me. And man, as a Panthers fan, because I'm gonna start with the Panthers first, because that's
understandable.
That's my wheelhouse. Of course, I covered the team for a few years in a semi-professional manner. So, and honestly, they've never been this good. They've never played this well, this deep into the playoffs in a long, long time. At least in my hockey-loving lifetime. They're, second round with the Leafs. They're up 3-0. I'm not cocky at all. I tweeted out on my Panthers historian account, like, hey, y'all Cats fans, stay humble. Stay humble. Like, this isn't over. This is hockey. 3-0 and 3-1 series leads have been overcome before. It's not an impossible thing to heck, the Panthers did it themselves the last round. So but I do feel not cocky, but a sense of a little bit of confidence that this team can find a way to close out the series. However long that takes, hopefully that will be tomorrow in Sunrise. but they've really got nothing to lose because nobody expected them to be here, and there's a segment, especially those in Canada, that don't want them to be here. So I mean, this is probably the least worried I've been for a playoff run ever as a Panthers fan. It's like last season, they went all in. They were the best team in the regular season. They won the President's Trophy. They had like the greatest offense in the NHL that hasn't been seen in like 25, 26 years, almost 3 decades. And they traded for Claude Giroux. All these things that was like, okay, this is the year. If they're gonna win the cup, this is the year. And it wasn't, Charles. And I was more scared for that team than any other team that I've covered so far. But this team, I really have no fear because I had no expectations. I could say on the show, they were winning.
We went to a game. We went to a game.
Yeah, we went to. Yeah,
your whole. We talked more about work because the minute became, I forgot how they lost, but I think they only got like 1 or 2 goals in. And
it was against the Rangers.
You're like, I'm done. You're like, I'm done. Now the Rangers are out, and you guys survived. So,
well, yeah. I mean, but we were watching the team before they went on that incredible run, where Alex Lyon was in net and was just playing on top of his head, and the team was just finding ways to win, and surprisingly that run started when they went to Toronto, and Paul Maurice was basically tearing a new one into each and every one of the players on the bench during a review call for a goal that was ultimately taken off the board for the Leafs, and the Panthers, lo and behold, won that game. And then there was some luck in there too. The Penguins choked away the last 2 games of the season, and the Panthers took their playoff spot, so that was great. And then the Boston series, and I wholeheartedly admit that I was like, hockey's done, this is over, it's not a sport.
The group chat's been fun the last couple of weeks.
It's I'm like, hey, the Marlins are playing. And go Heat. I was and not in a bad way, like, oh, the
playoffs are the hardest kind of pain, and that's what I don't think people realize, is that you hurt a lot when your team. Because here's the thing: in the beginning of the season, like if I was, like an Oakland Athletics fan, you're like, oh, okay, they suck. Oof. It's whatever, it's done. So you can literally just find the individual accolades. I think that's how sports go. If your team is bad, you find the individual accolades to hype up. But, and this is a very important but, when you're in the playoffs and in the skin of it, you have to find yourself. Would I rather have just missed the playoffs by like an eyebrow or an eyelash, or get into it and get like swept out, right? So I can understand that cultivation, but look, this is when I become a true hockey fan. Coming into it surprisingly, and I want to soon. In time, we will be well versed in the ways of hockey more so than usual.
Immerse yourself into
NHL
it once you get
24.
Yeah, exactly. NHL 24. We're going to go all in.
But you're able to watch certain dynamics, certain things, and how good it comes out to be, and it's been enjoyable. And it feels like it's a different team because your boy, Sergei Bobrovsky is just on a different kind of tear. I remember when you first got him, I joked about he's the Brobowski, and he's really just kind of doing into it. I don't know how Ekblad's doing. Look, I know names. That's how like invested I am here. Matthew Tkachuk, who is a godsend. Yeah, a godsend in comparison to what was happening elsewhere. Has been muy bueno for you. So you're getting to a point where it's very enjoyable. Oh shit, I wasn't supposed to kill this guy. I forgot. It's very enjoyable. So it's just good for South Florida if you watch the shipping container and everything, the local hour for Lebertine. So give them a shout out because we follow them on the Twitter hardcore. Follow us on the Twitter. FJRJR, Charles.
Dan's a real one.
Dan's a real one. Well, Dan's a super real one, man. But it's just good ish, as the kids say. but you can really kind of cultivate.
Our boy Jeremy's on the show now.
Yeah, it's so weird.
I still can't. Sheesh, man, that man was on our show of all things.
Yeah, it was more like a pity show. It was like he was bored on a Saturday night and didn't want to say that he was
during the pandemic.
Yeah, and then we're like,
hey man, that man's gonna be on like taking Stephen A. Smith's jobs, and we're like, that guy was on our show.
I mean, Jeremy, if you could hear us, you're going to be the new sideline Craig Seeger because you're a snappy dresser. That's the highest compliment I can give anybody because you know me, I'm all about the vanity. But it is interesting, and no, everybody, we're not invested because it's his team that's making it per se. It's been good hockey to watch, where it's really flawless skill taking, and you're kind of upstaging a lot of people and showing us. There's really no desperation times. When you had to come back, there was desperation times in that first round, but this one kind of feels like it's going to be a clear-cut ending of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I'll pull the Andrew, since Andrew's not here today, where it's like, the Maple Leafs just keep blowing it. Each time, it's never going to be there. Yeah,
like
there's
Toronto
my Andrew
media
impression. So it's just been good. And I've even had to dabble in different teams. But this is a very good time for you to kind of build into it and see where that takes you, because I feel it's like, okay, it kind of keeps it cultivated. It keeps the guys that you have here to want to stay here, who's due up for some salary stuff. And, it also kind of, I feel, justifies going for, what's his name? Like
Tkachuk?
The
big trade?
Justifies the big trade.
that was...
Because I've seen some other trades that have happened in the last 2 years where this one feels a little bit different, This
is probably, at this point, the best trade the Panthers have ever had. And there's only a few of them that I could say were total wins and changed the complexion of the franchise. So, I mean, the Pavel Bure trade where we got him from Vancouver, I mean, he was probably the best player on the planet at that point, but unfortunately his knees couldn't handle just the rest of that talent. For man, if he had played in today's age, he probably would have been able to stay healthy longer and everything like that. But the Panthers only had one playoff appearance with him, and they got swept in the first round, so that didn't really amount to much. The Luongo trade, I guess the first one was great. Of course, Luongo here, retired number, all that stuff, one of the greatest goalies to ever play. But the Panthers never made the playoffs with him. He was on really awful teams. You talk about Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani on the Angels. That was Luongo on the Panthers. But then the second Luongo trade to get him back was also great. You had the 2016 team that won their division, got a few hundred, I forgot how many, 100-something points, and that kind of brought legitimacy back to the franchise while they were trying to rebuild, and they made a playoff appearance there. The Yager trade, I would say, was the other massive trade that changed the complexion for the franchise, because it taught Barkov and at the time Huberdeau and a bunch of other young players, you brought in a living legend to play with you guys, and he was still good. So that was probably the other one, and they made the playoffs, but unfortunately they lost in the first round again. And then now the Tkachuk Huberdeau trade, and it was an instant win already, regardless of the Panthers making the playoffs and everything like that. It was an instant win because Tkachuk is the real deal. He is the real deal. The Panthers traded for him, and then they signed him to an extension. So he's here for 8 more years, Charles. That man is here for 8 more years. He's 24 years old.
And I don't know if Andrew was trolling or not when he was talking about, if it was good deal, bad deal.
Oh, he said he initially said, I don't know if you guys won this trade. I'm like, we won this trade, my dude. If you look at Jonathan Huberdeau's numbers, and there's a lot of factors that can go into that. First off, he's with Daryl Sutter, who's not really an offensive coach, and he's an old head, and he just got fired. He got fired. The GM for the Flames got fired, and they didn't make the playoffs. So that was from a team side. There's a win right there for the playoffs. But I said this on the podcast. I don't think I ever said this on the Locked On Panthers podcast. I was on there.
Oh, I died.
But I had said that Huberdeau, or at least this is how I think, and this is how a lot of Panthers fans think at this point. We love Jonathan Huberdeau. He was one of the best players to have ever played for this team. Had numerous records up until Barkov just recently took them as well for a forward, and great and everything like that. If he, hopefully he can come back at some point in the future and kind of bookend his career with the Panthers or something like that. Or maybe he's one of those guys that maybe the Panthers do consider to retire his number because he was here long enough to actually justify that. But Huberdeau's pass first mentality, one of the best passers in the game and everything like that. Tkachuk's just a different animal, man. That guy has this tenacity. He is in your face. He's got attitude, and he can back it up. He can back up all the trash talk in the world that he gives out there. He is the Jimmy Butler of the Florida Panthers.
Well, that conversation's stopping everybody.
That is who Matthew Tkachuk is. He's a guy that instantly makes your team better. And the Flames were missing him a lot. And I am so glad he is here. I am so that he is. I'm calling it the best trade the Florida Panthers have ever made in franchise history. That trade right there. And it's Bill Zito, the Panthers. I always get him confused with Barry Zito, the pitcher, but Bill Zito, the Panthers GM and everything like that. He stood pat in the trade deadline. He did nothing. Yeah. He didn't trade away. He didn't, and the Panthers didn't have a first round pick for this upcoming draft. And suddenly, the man is a genius. The man is a genius. He knows more than everybody at this point. And Paul Maurice, the head coach, everybody wanted him fired. And he was saying his mantra throughout the season was like, "We're going to play playoff style hockey. That's going to help us in the future. We're going to play playoff style hockey." They weren't doing like the 5-4 goal comebacks or just completely blowing teams out like 7-1, anything like that. Like these were games that they were just winning by the skin of their teeth. And those final 2 weeks of the season, that came to pass, man. They put it together, and now we're seeing it in the playoffs. The team got healthy as well because Sam Bennett, who was missing and Anthony Duclair as well, they had been missing for a good chunk. Duclair had to kind of reacclimate himself, and he's finally starting to get there again. And Sam Bennett was severely missed, and he's got an edge to him as well this postseason. He's been a huge difference maker, and teams are just not ready for it. And the Panthers, this is the best hockey that I've ever seen them play, ever. This was not here last season during the playoffs against the Capitals. Like, the Capitals series was hard. The Capitals knew how to play this style. They won the Cup a few seasons back, and then the Lightning just absolutely just manhandled the Panthers.
So, what is hockey playoff style?
I mean, playoff style hockey is just
to me.
It's grittier. It's defensive. It's just like
any sport to me is always defensive, except for baseball. Baseball, the elevation for playoff baseball is pitching smart. That's usually on the managers, which we don't have Aaron Boone whenever he does it. But, you go with basketball, is actually people playing defense that helps you show teams, some like a certain Miami Heat team. And then playoff football is always defense wins championships to a degree where you actually read the tape and you don't rest on your offensive laurels. Playoff hockey, I watched my fair share.
I mean, it's not that I can recall. It's just, I mean, of course, a lot of penalties don't get called unless they're really egregious. So there's that. It's a bit tougher there, but it's more hard-nosed defense than anything else. But the Panthers have been really great on the forecheck. Basically, the other team's offense has the puck and everything like that. Panthers are just kind of just getting their sticks in their way, just trying to bother them. Back check, forechecking, the battles along the boards as well. The Panthers are just not giving up anymore. They are relentless,
So
And
if you beat them, if you finish out the Maple Leafs, and I think you got one more game for the clean sweep, right?
yeah,
Who is the next team?
so on the other side of the Eastern Conference, we got and they're playing right now. The Leafs and the Hurricanes. The Canes are up 2-1. The Canes are since Boston got eliminated, and now the Leafs are not looking too hot. They are now the odds-on favorite for winning the Eastern Conference. The Canes are a good team. They've been a good team for a while. And I don't know how the Panthers are going to do in a series against them. I don't remember the series that they had this season. Record. I can look it up real quick. Give me a second.
We're a sports show, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Eventually, we'll talk about dumb stuff like anime and video games, but
we promise everybody.
Yeah. So okay, our last meeting against the Canes, we lost 4-6. That was the last game of the season. Oh yeah, we lost 4-6, and then we kind of just that was the seed. That was when we just were the 8th seed. So that's what happened there. And then, so that's a loss. It was a 4-6 loss too. So then we had the other game. We lost 4-0 in Raleigh. So we're 0-2 already. And then our first meetup was back in November, and we won. So it's 1-2 against the Hurricanes. We'll see. Things have changed, and I'm not sure. We'll see. The Canes kind of have their hands a bit full with the New Jersey Devils, who are also a massive surprise this season. But all their young players clicked, and they found a way. They found a way, and Lindy Ruff's a very good head coach out there in Newark. But it's a 2-1 series, and we'll see what happens with that for now. The Panthers could use some rest, at least a little bit. But regardless, great for this. And then you have the Western Conference. You got Vegas and Edmonton, and then Dallas and Seattle. I haven't really been following too much, but all I know is that Vegas is up 2-1 and Dallas and Seattle's up 2-1 right now. So we'll see.
This is the Kraken's second season, so
second season, yeah, and they might face Vegas. So
this is the only sport where I've seen expansion teams just have an amazing kind of go at stuff. Because you look at the Golden Knights.
Well, yeah, the reason why, I'm gonna tell you why.
I would like to know.
The reason why is the NHL put very high expansion fees for those new ownerships. And those new ownerships are basically like, well, if we're going to pay, I forgot how much it was, but let's say
XYZ cash.
$500 million, let's say. We're going to pay $500 million to become part of this league. We don't want to suck ass. Like, we're paying this much to suck ass for 10 years? No, we're not doing that. You're going to give us expansion drafts to allow us to construct at least a decent team for the first few seasons so that we can attract fans and maybe we can have a run at it within 5 years instead of within a decade or more, which makes complete sense now that you think about it. Like, why wouldn't you want to do that with your new team coming in and give them an opportunity to get fans from the get-go?
Yeah, you don't want it to be IS.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to assume whenever baseball and basketball expand, they might want to take some notes to do that. So we'll see. But that's the reason why. That's why those two teams are decent.
It's been so long since baseball had a kind of expansion that I can recall.
Yeah,
that wasn't a rebranding, because the last one I would say was,
98 was Tampa and Arizona, and
they had the rebranding.
Yeah,
well, they had the rebranding the Nationals, but it was the same players.
Yeah, same guys. Yeah, they were still awful.
Yeah, so you're literally looking through the Expos beforehand. So I think it was Marlins and Tampa that I can recall, and a lot of it was just getting. And what I realized, I wish sometimes hockey can sometimes get knowledge. Wasn't Golden Knights got Marc-Andre Fleury as one of those supplemental picks?
And yeah, he was. They got him. He was one of the expansion draft guys from the Penguins, because the Penguins were coming off back-to-back championships, and were like, yeah, we got this other guy. He got us to the promised land.
And so you're getting guys that I even know in there. I
Yeah.
think that helps. Like the Kraken, I didn't pay attention to their draft. I just thought their logo was cool. I just knew it was going to be a rough fight. But it was just even 2 years. It's amazing because you have teams in professional sports that do full-on rebuilds with trusted managers, and they can't get certain things out of it. You know, it's Marlins. Well, you know, all different now. Trust in Skip. Even though I do believe that
he sounds like he's at least his approach sounds all right. Yeah. But I mean, man, you can only work with so much with the team right now. But anyways, that's the whole thing.
It goes back to we can transition slightly into baseball at some point. But what I tell people is just I just think Kim Ng just hates the team.
I don't know, unless she's like Jeter sleep raging or something.
I mean, everything's just. I mean, on the whole thing, it's just everything's just been bad of what she's doing. So that's just my opinion.
I mean,
my opinion means a squat.
So far, the only thing that's worked out is Luis Arias as the Marlins second baseman. He's an MVP candidate, at least for now. He's literally he's Tony Gwynn. He's Venezuelan Tony Gwynn right now.
Yeah.
So,
but for them, you know, obviously going for the Panthers it's a nice surprise. Now, here's my question to you, though, and I think I have the answer, but I want to hear from your end. It's about sustainability. You know, last year you're the 1 seed and felt like a surprise, and that's when you all in on defensive men. But now you're going on a relatively low seed, like a certain other South Florida team, and you're building in some kind of sustainability that, you know, what can it build for the coming years? I mean, and if you feel comfortable with that.
Well, they've luckily locked up some of the core guys at the very least, so that's fine. You know, we got Barkov, we got Ekblad. Yeah. I think we have Verhaeghe as well. I think we extended Brandon Montour, who's been, man, he's one of those guys. I mean, he's a great defenseman so far. He's stepped up a lot, and offensively, he's also stepped up a lot this postseason. But and we got Tkachuk now, so Tkachuk is the guy we're building around. This is Barkov's the captain. We know that he's going to be the captain. Everybody respects him. He's one of the hardest working, and he's quiet, but he's good. But this is Tkachuk's team. From that standpoint, it's his team. Like you build around this man. You build around, like, Bob's going to be there, and hopefully Spencer Knight gets his personal life together, because he's projected to be good for the future, but you know he's got to take care of his stuff there. I mean, for next, I mean, this is, if they do somehow pull this off, yeah, they'll bring the band back together as much as possible. I don't know how sustainable it is with going forward, because they got through the skin of their teeth. But if they play like this in the regular season, I'm sure they would have gone in comfortably into the playoffs, at least as this first wild card spot, and maybe got the third spot in the division. I don't know how they would have. I mean, the Boston thing was an anomaly. That was, you know, just an insane thing that happened with them having that regular season. But I don't know if this is a 100-point team in a normal 100. But if they play like this, maybe they could be a 100-point team. I'm not sure, but regardless, I mean, this has just been a good surprise, and that's all I can say. I mean, I'm just enjoying the ride at this point. Everybody is. Nobody expects them to be here. The Toronto media doesn't want them here, and I'm just gonna stay humble until they finally close us out, and then I can, you know me, Charles, and how I feel about Canadians. So
big old hatred of them, kids.
We're not into hatred, only when it comes to certain things, and I gotta call out the country every once in a while. They can't hide behind all that polite facade and maple syrup and Letterkenny. All right, I gotta give them their I gotta let them know. All right,
let's chop here.
Yeah, all right. I mean, you know, at least the Leafs aren't making excuses that it's way too hot inside the arena. You know.
Oh my goodness! Right.
All right, we're getting into this. So,
yeah.
I was talking about being cocky and everything like that as a Panthers fan, because I don't think you can be a cocky Panthers fan. There's no way to justifiably be a cocky Panthers fan, because there's nothing to be cocky about for the most part. However, I sure as hell can be a cocky Heat fan. And man, when it comes to the New York Knicks, Charles, you know. The people from your homeland. I don't understand, man. Like, can you give me some insight into how your people think that that's a basketball team?
Oh, God damn, I keep killing this guy. I will give you my... You're not supposed to, but you're supposed to bring guard. It's a personality where you even see with me on the show sometimes. I always feel bad for Andrew when we have the on-air debates. It's arrogance and confidence, despite the fact that the ship is sinking. It is the spit in the face of defiance kind of
I just don't
thing.
I don't get
But
it. They're just maybe one step actually they're not even a step above the New York Jets.
Well, remember, I sent you the text that says Mike Greenberg has lost all credibility.
Yeah.
But I am not them. That's how I'm going to start this. But usually it's a little bit of arrogant swagger. And
there's an alternate reality, Charles, an alternate universe. I haven't put it into the AI just yet, where you stayed in New York and grew up a diehard Knicks fan.
Oh my God, that'd be terrible. So what I tell people is that it's spitting in the face, being defiant. That's part of the game, right? That's who we are. That's what it is. Maybe that's the New Yorker thing for some reason of being, part of that state, which sometimes feels like a country, which even has its own internal divisions because you're from the cities, you're from the boroughs, or you're from fucking, Long Island, right? Or Staten Island. But the thing is that have been going on, the playing out excuses, the formula was right there of why the Knicks were going to be bad. This was a fifth. Yeah, we're getting into real analytics here because for some reason SIFU kind of makes me more focused. Maybe it was the nap, maybe it wasn't.
It's a game about honing your skills and all that stuff.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I can't just stop being a killing machine when I have to be virtuous, and that's the problem. However, bringing it to the point here, the Knicks are a 5th seed. Y'all treat them like they're the 1 seed. The Heat already took care of the 1 seed, buddy. We already took care of the 1 seed. We came, we saw, we conquered. Vinny Vinch Heat. All right, that's what. Oh man, trademark that, copyright it, patent.
Make a shirt.
Vinny Vinch Heat. We're taking that right now. Nobody is gonna steal that from us. That is ours. Holy shit! Because that's gonna happen if we beat the Knicks. Y'all are treating the Knicks like they were a 1 seed. We took care of that. We did it so badly. We did it to them so badly. Not that it was a 4-1 game. We got it so badly that we got their coach fired. Even though that was a stupid decision. Unless they're really going for Nick Nurse, they just panicked over there because y'all forget how irrelevant. Your coach prior to Mike Budenholzer was Jason Kidd. And Jason Kidd couldn't develop Giannis and Middleton. Yeah. I'm just calling. I mean, he's on the downside right now of what's going on in Dallas. And if Bud wants that job, he's going to get a job somewhere. We like Budenholzer. He helped defeat the Suns.
We were talking about the Devils and the Hurricanes. It was like the Devils are exploded. They got 5 goals already. It's Carolina looks like they're gonna move on if they. Anyways, it's all right, Charles. Keep going. But Mike Budenholzer.
But I just don't understand that logic on the panic because yes, I know that you guys expected. I know he didn't call the timeout. We watched that game. You and I were messaging each other. It was great. But sometimes playoffs a bitch, and there's no other words, and it happens. So, but to fire somebody who is all but incompetent, that makes sense. This man's competent to a degree, coming into it. And yeah, look, he makes bad decisions sometimes, but the man knows how to build and take a team. He's not like Mike Brown. If I can be frank, he's not like Mike Brown, who got Coach of the Year, which is just an insult now that you're looking at what Eric Spoelstra is doing because he took a Kings team.
never going to get it at this point.
That's fine. That's fine because you know what? We go further than everybody who does. So good. But this man of what he's bringing into it is just ridiculous. But he was giving you some stuff there. It's not like the Dwayne Casey who couldn't get the job done, and then Nick Nurse was the right replacement. And I like Dwayne Casey. I was about to say Dick Grayson here because I'm thinking of Robin. But we like what Dwayne Casey was doing. But obviously he was collecting a couple paychecks over in Pistons. Now he's gonna go front level. I don't see that replacement there. But unless you get Nick Nurse, fine. Then everybody wins. Cool. But now the Knicks on paper, you got Tom Thibodeau, who is notoriously known for being a great coach 1 or 2 years in Chicago before he ran everybody out, and then kind of being just slightly above average. Because I'm going to be fair to this man that has taken every team that he was the coach for to the playoffs. He took the Bulls. He took the Timberwolves.
Yeah, with Jimmy.
And he and that, right? There's a trend here. Jimmy knows everything about that man. And then he took, at this point, the Knicks. And the Knicks were probably the ones that were most impressive. The Bulls have a long-standing history. They just had made the wrong hires.
I mean, they had Derrick Rose, who was the best player, and just...
They had Carlos Boozer. They had Joakim Noah. Or Joakim Noah. You had some very good guys there. And then with the Timberwolves, I don't remember, actually. But with the... you're going to kill me? No. With the Timberwolves, what you had, essentially, was... that 1 year Karl Anthony Towns, because he's so young still in my eyes, but then you forget how long he's been around for.
Yeah,
and then you had the Jimmy experiment, and then it didn't work. So it comes into it, so it's fine. But he hasn't really, if I recall, doesn't get anybody out of the first round now. So what he could do in your season. If you want a guy who's going to rebuild certain things, he's your guy. He's your dude. You know what I mean?
Build up your youngsters and everything like that. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if he builds up youngsters, because he is not like a coach that can really gravitate and get guys there.
Or at least he'll
can't elevate new guys. He either likes you or he doesn't. Like RJ Barrett still wasn't good. It's just now he's coming to his own a little bit. But because the thing that that Thibodeau will do is say, you are primary ball handler. This is who you are. This is what you do. This is how you have to be here. And that's the play. And that's understandable to a degree. And that's how he'll kind of work with it. But the Knicks, everything that they had, Julius Randle deserves his money with the way how the Lakers, most importantly, what's his name? Magic Irvin, the one time that he was GM, kind of treated everybody that was a cast off there. They deserve that cash. I'm go to it. But I wasn't scared of that. I wasn't scared of RJ.
Yeah,
Garrett.
I
wasn't RJ Barrett.
The Knicks don't have a number one guy.
Yeah,
they got a bunch. They got maybe a 2 and a bunch of 3s.
I'm not scared of Isaiah Quickly. I'm not scared of Grimes. I'm not scared of John Robinson. I'm listening to you actual names of guys who aren't really touching full. And here's the thing: All-Star votes don't matter anymore because of popularity contest. But on the scheme of things,
I mean, did the Knicks fall into? Sorry, keep going.
They fall into the Zach LaVine argument when you're the only guy. That's it. That's who you be, and that's where we're kind of going with right now. So I'm not overly impressed. I'm impressed with Thibs. Like, when coaches fire certain coaches and they want to have a stacked roster to give it one good chance, sure, go with Thibs. He has probably one good job with them. But what did I say? Where we're at right now in this game? Thibodeau is shaking his boots that he's about to get fired. He's already lost his hair. That is a bad hairdo. Tom, just shave it all, bud. Shave it all.
Go completely grew. Come on now.
Yeah, it's like your wax lady just forgot to kind of get certain parts and patches. My ladies and my men, y'all know what's going on here. We've got to go for the otter bodies, not for anything in between, right? So let's see if we can kill this guy again accurately, Francisco.
All right, so let me ask, because I did not pay attention to the Knicks at all.
And I kept
in their first round series against the Cavs.
I kept a slight eye on it.
We joked a little bit with Jared Allen, which hey Jared, please if you ever
follow us on the Twitter.
There you go. Yeah.
FJOJR, Charles the True, Jan Frijoles, Sports _Goofs. Play some Switch with us.
Yeah, exactly. We'll put our friend codes, man. We'll play. I mean, Zelda's coming out this Friday. Like,
oh yeah, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that.
Anyways, but I just I didn't pay attention at all, and I would assume, given the way this Knicks team is, was it more that the Cavs lost that series than the Knicks won it? Because I can't see this Knicks team and be like.
I could tell you from what I saw, and this is just my opinion, because I'm sorry, I can't watch every single sports game out there, but this is just my impressions. The Cavs kind of did what the Jazz did for a long time, and just relied on Donovan Mitchell to do a lot of stuff.
Okay, so he's basically back where he started.
Yeah, but look, I wanted Donovan Mitchell. I'm gonna be the first person to tell you.
I'm not. That's not a knock against him. That's a knock against the teams that are around him. Except for Jared Allen, because that man.
There's some potentials there, right? Oh shit!
And that's still a young team comparatively. So in a sense.
But with Thibodeau is this game should have been a sweep to begin with. I'm telling you that right now, man.
Oh yeah,
that is my humble opinion, because Scott Foster can't figure out the rims. We got Chris Paul by the man. Damn it! But I'm not I ain't scared. I don't think a lot of people are scared. And
No.
here's the thing that still impresses me: we're so close to taking down not one but two established coaches, with two of our like a starter and a role player injured, gone for the. I don't think Tyler would come
Tyler's
back.
gone.
You know, even if we somehow miraculously made it, I don't think he has the time. A hand being injured is a tough.
Yeah, he's got to regain all that with the shooting and stuff. He'll be out of the rhythm. Like it'll be.
Yeah, but I am just toasty on this idea that we are so close, because right now I told you, I think, or I told my other friend, I'm like, we're just playing with house money at this point, and that's what it is. This is just playing with house money, and if you guys don't gamble, it means you got basically nothing to lose. So take the W's as they come, and then take the L's when they appear.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel with it. And I'm a big fan, because this is just amazing to me, because it really goes to how much matters with coaching, because I feel that there is a stigma of that coaching is not real in basketball. It's just players doing no one's drawing plays and stuff like that. Whereas you have somebody who, you hear the phrase of they're cooking something in the lab. Eric Spoelstra is cooking stuff in the lab, man.
Which is why I was surprised that, given that the Bucks fired Budenholzer, because
they got desperate. They got scared. They drank their own Kool-Aid.
That was the thing. That's what I was saying. Like, you're going to fire the man who took you to the promised land for the first time in like 50 years. And, Giannis is Giannis and all that stuff. He's great and everything like that. But you could actually have this guy and keep him there consistently and for a long... Like, nobody in the NBA sticks around for that long anymore. Especially when they have success. Like, Spo's not going anywhere. Like, Spo's going to take Pat's job. That's what's going to happen. Spo's going to take Pat's job, and then somebody's going to come up from under Spo's wing and be the head coach there. That's what's going to happen.
But that also what surprises me too, man, is like you look at the Mike Budenholzer tree of guys that he had. We don't have a Spoelstra tree. There's not this big thing of like everybody's getting somebody for from the Heat.
I mean, was there a Pat tree? Because like the Pat tree is just Spo, right?
Yeah,
I mean, there was Stan Van, Jeff Van.
Yeah,
those both guys. Okay, never mind.
I mean, you have the Steve Kerr tree.
Wait, but no, but wasn't was it Fizdale? Wasn't he? Did he
oh my Memphis? God, I'm sorry, I forgot about Dave Fizdale. Dave Fizdale didn't get fair chance.
Let's see, who else is gonna? No,
yeah,
actually,
I'm sorry, Dave.
Yeah. Gosh, is there anybody else? I'm trying to think now.
I can't think. And even in the years,
everybody else is kind of. We had Bob McAdoo for quite a while. And everything like that.
Were we just so discriminative? I'm not going to be able to kill. I'm just too good at killing this guy.
I'm trying to think of anybody else that's kind of left Spo's wing at this point, but I can't, unless they're like in like the not the ABA, the G League. Gosh darn it! There we go. They should call it the ABA actually. Anyways. But all right, yeah. Aside from that, all right, yeah. Nobody wants to stick around with the coach or anything like that. I mean, Nick Nurse got fired, Budenholzer got fired. There's no real.
I mean, does that not surprise you though? Damn it! I killed him again. Son of a bitch. At least
I'm just surprised it was that short of a honeymoon period for all these teams. Yeah, that's all.
But that's the thing. Like, I mean, Budenholzer's actually been there for 5 years, but the work that he was putting in Atlanta, because remember, he made a Jeff Teague-led team with Al Horford.
Yeah.
A 1 seed.
Yeah.
And they got killed and swept in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
But they still got to the Eastern Conference Finals. But we got to appreciate Spo, what we have, because you have a guy. I mean, can I give you names that are producing? A Gabe Vincent, undrafted. A Caleb Martin, who came from somewhere. A Max Strus, who I'm not a fan of. I'm sorry, Twitter. I saw that man play in person. He was missing some stuff. I just can't drink that Kool-Aid just yet.
you know, I mean, Jimmy's always insulting him,
but Jimmy loves him though.
Exactly, that's why he's there.
Yeah, we have one man. That's all you need. Hayward Highsmith. You're at 7. We have some dudes that are legitimately would not even be breaking the rotation on and other teams is what we'll say is the polite way of saying things. It's no insult to them. It's just how the game is at the end of the day.
It's the Heat's. I mean, it's probably the biggest development since the Big 3 days is that they've been able to evaluate talent that's controllable and cheap.
However, because you said evaluate talent, so now I have to be a negative Nancy.
Well, I mean, you always do the devil's advocate thing, so I'm gonna just say this.
Well,
but
it's not even the devil's advocate. It's coming into what I've been saying since really the beginning of the season. We're gonna win to lose because of Bayonetta.
Well, that's a whole different thing. I'm talking about. Well, I'm not talking about like because Bam was an actual draft pick that they chose and they wanted to develop and everything. I'm talking about guys that undrafted free agents, international guys.
Hassan Whiteside. We pay them all, boys.
Man, that was a dark period for the Heat, man. That was that's the Wii U days of the Miami Heat.
You talk about a man.
In fact, it happened during the Wii U days.
Yeah. You talk about a man who had us by the balls and knew he had us by the balls. It was Hassan. And look, young fella, I'm not going to say don't get your money.
Oh, no. You know what? At least Hassan played.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about Tyler Johnson.
The poison pill. Yeah. We mentioned.
That's what I'm thinking about.
What I love, what people don't understand is this is coming full circle of stuff in the chats that we were putting in the last week and a half or so, or 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I remember mentioning the Johnson things. But yeah. And then we should just let him go to Brooklyn, man, because they wanted to poison pill it.
Yeah.
And we should have just done it. Tyler Johnson was such a bad. And you know what the problem was? What I feel about the Tyler Johnson stuff? Pat liked him too much.
Well, I think
because Ellisburg didn't want him because remember they got that poison pill on the 11th hour.
Yeah, and that was when the salary cap kind of just jumped massively. And everybody was just like that was and I've watched videos about. I think Andy Hoops did a video. I've seen some YouTube stuff about that free agent period, which is probably like the worst in NBA history, absolute worst in NBA history. There were a bunch of guys that either belonged in the G League, or had been past their prime, or just were not just bench guys that were getting these max contracts and everything. Like it was bad. It was bad, man. Oh, all right. Well, yeah. So I mean, that's the NBA. So I haven't watched anything. I don't care about the Warriors and Lakers. Everybody else does,
Okay, can I chime on the Warriors?
Go ahead, go talk because I'm not paying attention to that. We're all waiting for the Doc Rivers fall of the Sixers thing. That's well, actually, they're winning right now at halftime.
The two things I'm about to say is one, I want Boston. Okay. I want Boston. I'm gonna tell you why I want Boston because I see a road, I see a path. And sorry to my boy Charles McGee, who is a Golden State boy, loves it, came from that area. I want I want the entire roadmap of the 2020 bubble championship.
Oh,
that's why
Milwaukee.
I want the Celtics.
All right, yeah.
That's why I want
Boston,
and I want LA. I want LA. And, right now they're kind of showing it. And, I think it's just because everybody else on that Warriors team is just bad. And Steph is carrying very much. But, there is something here, man, that I am all for. But, it would fit, wouldn't it? It would fit to get that redemption. Because here's the thing. We complain about being the Mickey Mouse championship. We all wanted that championship.
That's true. And it would justify. You talk about the Jordan versus LeBron debates. Man, would people just be like, "Well, he refaced the Heat, and look what happened."
Yeah,
in a non-bubble, non-Mickey Mouse, non-Disney World situation.
Yeah. And it comes back to what smart coaching is.
And it's not. I'm not a LeBron hater at all.
We love him.
Very grateful for him coming down to Miami. We're all going to be like
what he now. I don't care. The Lakers look legitimately poised.
Oh no, I'm just saying it's just the discourse is always fun to read and stuff online.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because everybody hates it. But that's for me. I have no, love for the idea and for the sensation that we would get Phoenix. Because they're probably going to win it now. They can win it now. I don't care. My whole thing was I would feel right that you had to literally build a super team to help out Devin Booker.
KD.
Right?
KD once again being the X factor.
KD being the X factor without even Chris Paul's a failure experiment. The guy's got a hurt groin. It's really time to hang it up. And we crap on Chris Paul, or I have crapped on Chris Paul and his bowling love, but I was a big fan of him coming into it. And I feel bad for him because anywhere else I think he would be loved, but they have such expectations for that team, and they don't realize that his style of game is not this high offensive production. He could have done a little bit better on some rebounds, but it happens. And then I really like the Nuggets are the most uninspiring team. To me, they're very uninspiring. And I'm not even coming with the Philosopherus thingy. Say it for me.
Parasaurolophus.
Parasaurolophus hatred. I don't dislike Jokic anymore because I'm very much of the idea that he should be MVP again. And I understand they don't want to go for 3 MVPs, but you were still wrong. Don't make it political like that. Don't make it political that, players just don't like it, because he's literally led that team to the 1 seed. He is that team. He is their benefit. The man dropped 51, and it doesn't feel the same because it's like, actually, if they did win it all, not against the Heat, right? That's the caveat. I would feel good about it because it's the middle finger that I like that they would give to him and be like, you guys should have picked him, because I think he is the MVP. I understand Embiid's role. I understand Embiid, Jokic, and Giannis are very interchangeable. And the closest comparison for me is Giannis and Jokic because of what they were able to do to produce. But Jokic is doing something special. I looked at those stats. I think anybody, hear me out, I think anybody who gets close to a triple-double automatically should be in that consideration top 3. I know it sounds very silly, but I don't think you guys understand how hard it is to score a lot. And I'm not talking about like you get the 15 triple-double. I'm talking about in the 20s and the 30s. To score a lot, rebound a lot, because the rebounders are still good, especially with the modern day bigs that we have now, but also to pass into the post. Yeah. And this man almost had 10. That
literally
is
doing everything.
Ridiculous. It is part. What I wish a lot of our bigs throughout the years could do. And remember when bigs were supposed to be dead and there was supposed to be nothing out of it, and then you see this stuff that happens because they're not shooting threes. And they're shooting threes. Yeah. Like, what more do you want? And it should have been him. So I'll take that as a caveat. But really, for me, I would feel more at peace with my soul if I got the LeBron rematch. And if we lost, we lost. Fuck. Because we're playing with what? House money. Yeah. We shouldn't be here, but here we are. And
I don't think we shouldn't be here. Nobody wants them there.
What? Everybody's scared.
That's the best part.
Prototypical Bill Simmons fear.
Yeah. That's the best part.
Shit.
That's the Heat. Best part. Nobody wants the Heat here. Everybody that was thinking it'd be Giannis right now. And honestly, nobody would have thought the Knicks would have beaten the Bucks anyways in this series anyway. But they wanted Giannis versus Joel or in the Eastern Conference Finals, or Giannis versus Boston, and Tatum and all those guys. That's what they, and then they eventually the finals be like Giannis versus LeBron, or or Celtics Lakers again. Like, that's what the NBA wants.
Yeah, everybody wants something.
For. Yeah. That's the narrative everybody's looking for, or the Warriors, or the Darlings, the Suns. That's why, because I don't think people would want to see not that people like normal, like actual people who watch ball would want to see whoever gets there at the end because they like the sport. But I'm just talking about the casuals and the people on ESPN.
You got to get a market. And here's the thing: the Greek Freak, what he was doing there, people were like, okay, it's Milwaukee. The place where's Aaron Rodgers? That's how it was, right? It felt like it. And I am of the opinion that all sports is good sports, but if you're really trying to beat the super team agenda, that's done. If anything, you should be rooting for this Heat team, because I can literally tell you, we ain't that pro. No. We ain't got those cool things. As terrible as to say, we got Jimmy Butler, who is beyond super. He is fantastic, is what I'll say, right?
Retires his number right now.
Well, there's that idea: is he besides Wade, is he the best Heat player? Not the best player to ever put on a jersey for the Heat, because that arguably is LeBron.
Yeah, you can ask from a talent perspective. Yeah, you can, or career perspective. Yeah, got Bosh, got Shaq, you had Zoe, and aside from Zoe was probably the other one. As far as like the guy who exudes Miami Heat. And UD's there, but UD hasn't been playing for like the last 5-6 years. But aside from that, if you want somebody that personifies the Miami Heat, it's Jimmy. Yeah. It was Zoe first, and it was Wade, and now it's Jimmy.
Yeah, and I think Jimmy, you're gonna get him. You definitely, I would hope, you're good, because you can never make promises for people. You're definitely gonna get him until the end of the contract. He is gonna stay in there.
Yeah.
The question you have to ask yourself that's very important is, are you going to get him to stay on, pass on the way that Wade tried to with his stuff, you know?
I don't know if, well, it depends. I mean, sheesh, that's a way from now. And
Is it?
I don't know. I don't know what his contract is. I don't know how many years he's got left on this thing, but
God damn it, I killed him again.
I don't know if Jimmy's one of. I mean, unless they don't win anything and Jimmy's just looking for a ring, then yeah, and the Heat are not in that position.
I don't think the ring chasing is that for him. And I know some people will say, well, that should be everybody's end game, but the man's really about doing himself. I think it does matter to players.
It does a little. I mean, for him, yeah, but I mean, even like one of these victories, I think when they. I think it was after game 1 in New York or something like that. Or no, when he was coming back to Miami. And he was just like, it was a great win, but I want to go back home to my kid or whatever. That was like his thing.
Yeah. Well, the way I look at it for Jimmy is essentially this, and this is just all speculating. He's been on, when you talk about clout chasing, some people, they pull the Karl Malone, right? Where they go to find out, they go for that. That wasn't Jimmy. He was traded to a lot of teams that had the potentials, not counting his Chicago time, right? Because remember, he had his time in Mini. That wasn't going on, and there was some star guys that you could develop on. Then he went to where? Philadelphia. And that was the whole thing, Tobias Harris over me. And Tobias Harris is a nice guy, but is he worth all that money? Well, good for Tobias Harris and his agent, right? And then he chose Miami, and the idea is I think you do just how like Chuck gets some pinnacle love for being on the Suns, even though he's on other teams, to be remembered as that player for that organization. That's the first thing to come up, that you're the leader of those men. Your name's not just on the rafters. You're a pillar. So you mentioned Zoe, but then you have Wade, and then what's your other pillar? Jimmy. I think it would have been Bosch had Bosch not had the health conditions.
Yeah,
and you really talk about
thing with him.
Yeah, well, you talk about the things that you can regret. Man, 8 years ago, I still think about the nights I lose sleep of Goran Dragic and Chris Bosh on a pick and pop, man.
Yeah.
I'm being kind of hyperbolic, people. It's all right, speaking hyperbole. But when you think on that, yeah, that would have been something that could be pretty darn special. But,
wrap up your thought.
I want the rematch of the bubble.
Alrighty. I can dig it. All right, we're at 58 minutes, 41 seconds. I want to do word for non-sponsors, people, places, things, and concepts, and what have you. We've been enjoying over the last 2 weeks. I would say that was the last time we were on the show. Yep. Charles, do you have anything that you've been enjoying that's been sticking out to you? You don't do the gaming stuff until you actually beat the game. Well, actually, you beat the game, right?
I technically beat
an ending for the game.
Yeah. So all right. So I'm gonna give it a 2 first since Andrew's not here.
Sure.
Because I wanted.
Why not? I did 2 last time.
So my Switch is already gonna get some love starting this Friday at I would say 2 p.m. I'm taking the day off. Go to the beach. Before I go to the beach, I'm gonna swing by Best Buy. I gotta get a little tan. I gotta show my little Latino-ness.
No, you're gonna have a day.
I'm gonna have a day. I'm gonna have a day, baby. Pick up.
I gotta go to
Kingdom.
I gotta go to work. I'm going to the Marlins game because I've been going to every Friday game for the throwback stuff. Once I get home, we're playing till 4 a.m.
That's the plan. I want 6 hours at least. And what I do have to do, and what I will have to do with this game, is hide my phone, because I'll like be screwing around a little bit too much on it. Because all Zelda games have that kind of like slow burn sensation built into it, but I don't want to have my phone and my ADD kind of like affect the beauty about what's happened. But prior, in the month of April, because the last time we did a show, we were in April, not in May, somebody was supposed to join something with me, because he's the streamer of the two of us game wise. I'm not, and Andrew's very picky about what he likes to play. We're gonna expand that boy's palette. I promise you. I don't want to funnel this man games and buy him, but I'm thinking about doing a Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants version and just mailing him out actual Switch games I have to do that. So, of course, and I'll make it short and sweet for number 1, because number 2 is going to take a little bit, is Bayonetta 3 on the Switch. You get to play as Orisa again.
Yeah.
It puts it to advantage. It's cool. It's some fun nonsense that happens and builds into it. Essentially, if you like sexy, stylish, beat the hell out of each other action. That is a 2-3 button combo. You're gonna love that. If you played 1 or 2, I think you'll enjoy 3. I enjoyed 2 is I think my favorite one. I enjoy 3 a lot. It was one of those games though that made me kind of be bothered by the Switch. I do wish that it was on a strong graphical engine because I think on the modern day consoles it would be excellent. But good combat. The story can be a little bit of a downer, but there's a whole purpose of it. You know, Bayonetta is still good as ever. If you like the Devil May Cry kind of series, Platinum games, I've mentioned them before when I've had a couple of things on there. Astral Chain was on the list there. I enjoyed it. I put it in about, but I think I said 16 hours in the chat or something like that. I should have gone forth on it. I give it an 8 out of 10.
Did you
very good action?
What you play on normal mode or?
Yeah, I play on normal mode.
Okay,
I play on normal mode. You know, it still felt easy to certain degrees because you do get used to how to play it, which is be judicious. There is some multiverse concepts. I think I spoiled that in the chat, so I'm just gonna continue into it. But there are some side missions that I go with Jean. Very fun. Do it. Promo code for her. I would say which time. Which time.
All right.
And I'll let you go and I'll bring in my other love.
All right. So past couple weeks, let's say, well, I've been enjoying a lot of anime lately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've been really. You should get Crunchyroll, man. Just pay the money.
I can get it for free by other means. I'm just saying. Sometimes Crunchyroll. Either way, I'm enjoying the animes. I've been watching a lot lately. But just I don't know. I got back into it. I got back into the kick. I found some shows that I enjoyed. That's all. But I mean, as far as things that that really stood out to me. So I saw Chainsaw Man.
Yes, which is a very weird show to me.
Have you seen it, or
I've heard of it and I read some stuff. It's on the periphery, but I'm just like, there's always so much that I have to watch. But can I just say it kind of scares me with the art design? Can I say it as a fan?
Oh yeah, no that is it's an intense show. It is very much a very intense show. There's a lot of high stakes here. It's set in a world where there's demons in the world, and the demons are always out for human blood. And so the main character, who escapes me, but he's the main character of the show. He's the Chainsaw Man. He, as a little kid, I guess he was abandoned by his family, or demons ate them, or maybe his dad was like owed something to the mob or whatever. But regardless, he befriends a demon. He actually saves this demon's life, and it was like this little chainsaw dog. That's basically what I'm going to call it. It's a chainsaw dog. He let the dog sip on his blood, and in this world, you make pacts with demons. So you can make blood contracts with demons. You give them a little bit of your blood or a body part of yours, and they in turn give you some, or like they will use their powers to help you out, right? So Chainsaw Man, he just had like this little chainsaw dog, and he would use it to kill people, but he befriends them eventually. Like, they become friends. Like, this is his pet. This is his homeboy. This is like the only person he cares about in the whole world was this demon. And eventually he gets to a point where he's about to get killed by these mob guys who were actually demons, and we're just like, hey, we're just kind of tired of you. We're just gonna eat you. And so it looks like they kill him and the dog, but the dog, he once said, when he was like going to sleep one day, he was like, if I die, or if I'm about to die, or you can take my body, and you can use my body and stuff like that. So it was a legend that demons could meld with the human being.
All right.
And before, the other one's like a contract. So the demon's a separate entity, the human's a separate entity. But the legend was that some humans and demons can actually become one like that. Well, that's what happens here. So the chainsaw dog, and the dude become one, and he can become Chainsaw Man, where he's got a giant chainsaw for a head, He's got chainsaws for arms. He's even got chainsaws for legs. And he's just intense and extreme. And to keep his power up and everything like that, he's got to have like he's got to have blood of some sort, either demon or human. But he's mostly a human being. And he gets recruited by this government entity that hunts down demons. They're human beings that hunt down demons, but now they're working with certain other entities. There's other like life forms and stuff like that. There's a difference between demons and I forgot what the other thing was called. But there's a girl in this show who's also I think she's like a poltergeist. I think that's what she is, where she's basically like a ghost that takes over, but she's like also evil, and they're trying to like work with her, and the show goes from there. But the art style is insane, man. Like you said, you're kind of afraid looking at it. It is gory, it is intense, but the music slaps. I'm gonna tell you that much. That's some extreme stuff, and I don't know. I like it. I already went through it. At least the first season. I don't know if there's a second season, or at least if it's in development. It's in a new show. But
I think it's in development from what I read.
Yeah, so it's it was a manga, so it was a manga back then. So it's converting into an anime now, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much. I blasted through all of it, and I'm looking forward to see what happens in the future. So yeah, Chainsaw Man. Promo code Power. That's the name of the poltergeist girl, whatever.
Interesting.
I would have said Meowie Wowie because that's the name of her cat.
Meowie Wowie.
Yeah.
That reminds me when we were doing wrestling and then Bray had the feed and he was always like, Yowie Wowie. So for me, and I'll pause the game for a second so I can actually talk. So the other game. And this was a game that got advanced a little bit. But we all like martial arts. We all like Kung Fu, Taekwondo, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, whatever that is. It is indoctrinated into a young person's life when they watch superhero stuff because everybody's always punching and kicking, right? Spare me the weapons. I don't need no knives and guns all the time. I need some good old fists. And, my Black Friday deal games, one of them was, as you mentioned, SIFU. And I heard SIFU was hard. I heard it would be my cup of tea. There was things I wanted to go with. And the original plan was that we were going to play it as the cooldown, as Zelda is expected to be a 70-hour game. Minimum, at least. So I decided, screw it. I got a week and a half. I'm going to start SIFU. And I have not stopped. I'm playing it right now. I've been doing the same boss over and over again, and I'll explain kind of why. Because it's kind of like roguelite, where you have runs that you go through to unlock moves permanently, to unlock buffers throughout your run. The concept is that you start at the age of 20. It's a revenge story. Someone kills somebody. That's all you need to know. I won't spoil it, but you're tasked to find a little bit. Pretty much, kind of actually interesting. Sorry, Shenmue is like the most overrated game out there.
I've never played it, but it's one of those Sega games that I've never really had an interest in. And I have Shenmue 3, but I do not want to play it.
I read what happened in Wiki. Nothing happens. I'm telling you that right now. So
I know. I've seen the videos.
It's disappointing that you do that. As developers, you want the payoff, especially since you had to do a Kickstarter for it. So you think you would at least have a shoehorn kind of ending, I would feel. So the concept with SIFU is that you learn the punches and the kicks. It's a 2-button system, but you could dodge and go from there. But if you die, you age. And once you get to your max age, which is around like 70-something, that's it. I'm not saying that you can die 40 times in level. No. There's a death counter that ticks up. So you could start at 20, you die at 21. But if you don't get that death counter down by either beating a big boss, a mid boss, or something, then it's gonna multiply essentially. So if you have a death count at 5 and you die at 22, you're age at 27, and you start the next levels at the youngest age that you're at. So when I first started, I think when I got from boss 1 to boss 2, I got to like 26. I'm like, yeah, this is fine, cool, shit, whatever. I'm learning, great. And then I get to boss 2. Essentially, at the end of that, I finished at the age of 58, man. And so it was a small margin of error when you got to the other boss. So then it commands you to go back to redo stuff, to replay certain things at a younger age, which usually you typically start at the youngest age. And I beat it Sunday. I am obsessed with it. I did take the breaks, and I got an ending that is probably going to be common for a lot of people. And the other ending, and I won't go into details about good bad endings, bad endings, but it's really the true endings because there's two sides to it. But it's addicting. It is good. The sound is good. The art is good. The combat is good. The camera could be a little bit hectic, but I have loved it. We're gonna give it a 9 right now.
Whoa.
And my problem is what I'm trying to do. So I'm gonna give you no, I don't want to give you the spoiler because I would encourage you to buy this. It's a 9. And I've been waiting. I've been in a drought. Everything's been 8, and 8 is good. 8 is enough, as they say. But a 9, damn, it's fine. And this is what I need. And I'm kind of glad I did not do this as a buffer to Zelda. Because imagine playing Zelda, and sometimes, if anyone's played a Zelda game, sometimes you don't get to that peak greatness until maybe middle of the way through. Like, that's how I felt about Twilight Princess. That's how I felt about
Breath of the Wild was a slow burn.
Breath of the Wild. Yeah. So if you're going something on the instantaneous stuff, it's going to get you. I'm going to play Division 2 during Tears of the Kingdom, which I think is the smartest move I can make because they're so diametrically different. Because one's essentially a shoot grinder. And I forgot I had that game for like $3 I bought. So I'm like, perfect. 30 hours I can devote into it when I need to go in between. Because, of course, there'll be like the Splatoon and everything like that. Go Team Power. That shit's rigged. I don't know how. I thought my team was terrible. I won like one 10 times battle, but I didn't get onto the other multiplayer games. But that's a different story for a different day. But SIFU's been fantastic. It is rules violent. They have hallway fight scenes. So if you're a big fan of Netflix Daredevil, you at least get 3 of them here. It is wondrous. There's advantages. There's trophies. I will be playing this game. It took me 8 hours to beat it. I've already spent an hour and change playing on the show on the same level just to kind of master it, but also trying to spare this guy so I can lead to the true endings. I'm in love with it. It's good. SIFU, 9 out of 10. Promo code, I know Kung Fu. No, I'm going to redact that because that's how you see on the review. So I'm going to give it a new promo code. Promo code, Way of the Charles. There you go. Way of the Charles.
Yeah. Oh, and you mentioned Bray Wyatt, by the way.
Yeah.
The Fiend. That's what that Power Girl is. She's a fiend. She's a blood fiend. She's not a poltergeist. She's a blood fiend. That's what it is. So that's what it is. Yeah. I mean, this has been I've seen a lot because this came out last year.
Yeah.
Around this,
and they have an arenas mode. So I'm gonna hype that up for a second. So if you are enjoying it, the fun don't stop, kids. Because with an arenas mode, you could do a lot of... I'm going to die, damn it. You're going to do a lot of cool things. I'm getting so excited talking about it. Okay, I'm going to spare you. There's enough time, and I'm going to go kick your ass. All right. But it is just good, and it's a different kind of fighting game that comes into it, because I know you had asked me on it. So it does not...
I was asking how the mechanics are, because I mean, the concept intrigues me. But I was just like, because it seems like it's more of a it's a mastery type of thing, much like, I mean, that's the premise of the game, right? Is a mastery thing. And I played, I mean, when I was a kid, with Sega Saturn, we had Virtual Fighter 2, right? And anybody who's played a Virtual Fighter game, that is not an easy game to play as far as fighting games is concerned. Like, there's...
But it's definitely not like Virtual Fighter because
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna spare him. I'm gonna put you on pause real quick, Francisco, so I can just share this.
Go ahead. Do it.
Was it getting me? I'm looking at you. I put on the volume a little bit. All right, because guys, it took me an hour and a half or an hour to spare this man because I'm that damn good. And this is just the first boss. I actually went 0 deaths killing him, a couple days ago. But this one I died a couple times because I'm being very basic into it. All right, so we got that. And we got a trophy. Cool. Anywho, kids, I think it would interest you. I think because it's worth it. If you hear me hype it up because it's refreshing, it's different. I'm going on the path of enlightenment now. This is cool. What's this game going to do to me? And I didn't lower the difficulty. And it reminded me of Returnal.
So it does have a difficulty setting because that's...
Yeah, well, now they have a difficult setting because some people have a hard time doing it. Some people are like, oh, man, I couldn't really do X, Y, Z. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'm starting out at 23. That's fine. That's for the second one. That's fine, I guess. But it is something that is... It's just good, dude. Like, if you're hearing me talk about it like this, like lovingly, if it did not have some serious contenders for Game of the Year stuff, it would be on my radar. And it's short, it's sweet. I don't think it outstays its welcome, but it makes me think of how I'm approaching some stuff. I'm a big fan, man, and I like these kind of things anyway, these kind of game wise. So it's definitely something that is to my enjoyment. If you don't like martial arts, it might not be for you. And there's a difference between a martial arts fighting game and an actual action martial arts game. I think that's the best way I can define it to you for the moment.
I see. Yeah, I'm watching a video of right now it's on the screen of the age system and how it kind of works.
Yeah, and it could be intimidating, but it really, at the end of the day, it's just like a rogue run where you just die at the end of the day. Yeah. You just don't get infinite lives. And Returnal has made me appreciate being a smart person. I finished that arcade tower version of it, Tower Sisyphus. I didn't beat the final boss, but I got the story out of it. So I'm like, all right. Like, I won't always do roguelites because it's just like I don't need that frustration in my life.
I tend to run away from them. When I see that, I download the free, or not download it, but I claim the free games on like Steam and Epic Games. There's like, this is a new roguelike, and when I'm like, oh god, not again.
So there was some rage in me a little bit when I played, when I did play the final boss in this fight. I'm not gonna lie, there was some legitimate rage that had kind of came in, but. When you knew you figured out the move set, this is how I'm gonna say it. When you knew you figured out the move set, you got it, guy. Yeah. You had it, son of a bitch. You had.
And was it like anger? Because there's a different like with gaming. This is the gaming stuff. We're at the gaming stuff.
Yeah.
Like with certain games, it's the game is janky or it's whatever and it's unfair.
Well, I'll tell you.
But was it more you pissed off like? And you knew it was you, or was it the game?
It was the worst situation that ever could happen. I knew I had him. I knew I had him, but my reaction time and that high adrenaline got me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It got me in that sense. I had it, and it just got me, unfortunately. And that
you had to be a little more patient.
Yeah, or if I had just by like 10 more seconds and then I died, because it took me like 6 tries to beat the final boss, and I was like, really would have been 5. And then when I re-upped it, I'm like, I just knew, because the thing is, you don't go straight to the boss. You have to, because what is great about the game, it expects you to die, and it doesn't make you redo the whole level. As you progress, when you get to that boss, there's shortcuts that you unlock, so you go straight to that boss, or you might have to fight a few people to get to the boss, but not as many. So I'm like, yes. Let me go from that. That is cool. I'm go with that 100%. So those are things that I liked coming into it. Select a one-shot attack behavior. I can do that because there's also cheats and stuff like that. The arena thing I'm looking into, because with the arenas, I'm expecting it just to be like a horde mode, right? You just keep.
I was thinking like it's like Paper Mario, we just fight enemies and enemies and enemies,
But it really just kind of encapsulated me to do that. But I knew it, and then when I came back with that heat, I felt that excitement. It was in me. I was just doing like the rah mofo, like we're going straight into it, and I don't want to. If I find that it's too time consuming to constantly die and not beat or spare the next, because that's essentially first run you kill, second run you spare. That's it, right? So if I find it's too much consuming, then I maybe will lower difficulty, just get the ending. But this is one of those things where I don't even want to get the true ending by just watching on YouTube, which sometimes happens.
Yeah,
I just want to play
see it on Ramona.
I know it's only going to take me 8 hours at max. I think I ventured at 2 to 4 hours, and that was a lie. But that's also just how they constructed sparing people in this game. But dude, it's just so good. Just buy it. $20.
You selected the perfect bridge game to Zelda.
Yeah, as opposed to being a cooler. Because if it was the cooler, you have to be careful, kids, when you have these AAA kind of games that you're going into that you hype up, and if you don't like accurately play. Slow Clap, which is a
indie.
Give them a shout out, Jesus. Which are like an indie dev. They did
who published it?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
I'll look for it, but all right.
Yeah, it was developed by Absolver. Or they did Absolver.
Beat 'em up. Let's see. Developed by French. Slow Clap. That's a good name, Slow Clap. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Publisher. Yeah. Slow. Okay. They publish it themselves. All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah, so it's just, man, it's just so damn good. I can't speak to it, but
it's averaging 9 out of 10 on Steam, so that you're on the money.
Yeah, and I think that's just where my heart takes me. But, you know, when you have to think about these games that are setting up, you want to make sure it's not bad. Like when I played God of War, what did I play before? God of War. The prequel, or not the prequel, the number 4, the first one, the PS4 era, because you get kind of scared.
The Norse version, the first Norse game, the Norse.
Because no matter what, we always compare. That's how it goes. You know, we always compare what is what and what we're playing, because it's called recency bias. At the end of the day, we're just like, I don't know if I liked it, or we have like these expectations how they did things better with a HUD, or how they did this. So that was my concern with Zelda. So I can live with this if I have a couple of days to kind of breathe. I'm like, oh, you know, it's not the same, it's not different, but it's still good. Then I can live with that. But if I play this as an in-between cooler, oof, buddy, I think there's going to be some legitimate concerns about what you do, you know, into it. And I don't know if you've had that kind of situation with your games that you play.
Well, I mean, and I talked about this, and I did a solo thing, but my month of April was, gaming-wise, was weak.
Yeah, you bailed on me.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, I had work, professional stuff on the side was kind of getting me down, but the gaming also was not filling that hole to kind of lift me out of that. And yeah, I played it literally was happening. I checked my how long to beat profile. I was like, yeah, it happened after I played Homefront. I was just so discouraged.
I just like how I told you that. I'm like, oh man, yeah, I remember that game.
That was just terrible. But luckily I got back into it. The retro games, once again, they held up for me. That I went on a work trip, and it allowed me to play some Super Nintendo games and get those out the way. And I was like, oh, these are enjoyable. These are nice and fun. Some Genesis games as well. And then
that boy still needs to play Donkey Kong, man.
Well, I mean, he said he was playing DKC 1, so that was the last time I heard. But I did. It was just one of those spur of the moments things. I was home. I was bored. I was looking at my how long to be. I'm like, let me see if I can knock out a PC, because I hadn't played a PC game. I was like, I was mainly on the multis this month, with on the Switch and on the Xbox. I was like, playing MLB, enjoying that a little bit. So that's been fun. But I looked and I was like, let me see if I can knock out something on the PC, get one of those games that's lasts like 2 hours and stuff like that. And I played this game called Beyond Blue, which was it's an edutainment title. It's about exploring the oceans, and they have fantastic models of the animals and in the ocean. It's beautiful, and I like that science stuff because it's legitimate. I forgot which organization or stuff that they worked with to develop the game. It's on everything. It's on the Switch. It runs on the Switch, which is amazing. PS4 and 5, Xbox, all that stuff. So I played it on PC in 4K, and it was just like, whale sharks, manta rays, sperm whales. Like this is just basically everything that I love about these animals, and there is a storyline behind it, and it got me. I felt something at the end. Like I felt something that Homefront took from me, and I was like.
Yeah, Homefront is a very callous game.
I came back and I'm like, I'm back. And then I was like, I'm playing Forza Horizon. I'm playing something that actually makes me feel things again, So yeah, in Forza, I've been on the Forza right now, Forza Horizon 3. I don't know if I'll beat it by the time I got to Zelda, but really that game is just about me driving. I don't really need to beat it anytime soon. I've played all the Forza Horizon games now at this point. So that was the last one that I was missing. So I'm enjoying it. I'm actually doing the racing now, which is fun. But I don't think I'll get it by Zelda. And I did go back to Breath of the Wild for a little bit to get the memories.
I think that'll be Thursday when I do my rematch of Calamity.
I'm doing the side quests, and I just realized there's a reason why I spent 100 hours in this game.
It's so good. And I know I can understand how people just didn't like it because of the weapon breaking system, but you know what? It doesn't matter.
They fixed it, but they're fixing it. They fixed it in the next one. That's the beautiful. That's going to be insane. I don't even know if I'm creative enough to do some of the things that I'm seeing there, but man,
I am not that talented, man.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just going to be like, well, I'm just going to climb this mountain instead of building the airplane to fly over it,
That's what I enjoyed most about it, just climbing the mountain.
Yeah.
Not like anything else. I liked that.
That's what I did in Death Stranding.
Yeah, well,
I climbed that mountain trying to find if like there was something at the top of it.
for me with Death Stranding was just kind of being, well, you know how he is. He'll put in little Easter eggs of other games there if he could. But I am that person too who's just kind of like, well, let me just enjoy this. But with Death Stranding, that whole stuff was more about like me just trying not to fall all the time.
Yeah,
which you fail accurate. But Death Stranding, you just put it on story mode or easy, and you just enjoy the ride, man.
Yeah,
you just enjoy the ride. But I am ready. I am ready for it.
I'm ready. Yeah, I'm thoroughly ready. Team Power won the Splatfest. That was the other thing.
Rigged, but still good.
Yeah, my Courage got last place, man.
I don't know how, because I felt like I wrestled.
I honestly think it's just because so many noobs and freaking casuals, and so I'm going to be Link, and that's what happened.
That's exactly. Was that not the chat? Where I'm like, people.
I kind of felt that it would be that way, but I just thought, I could find a way to lift the team. And look, I went like 30-6 over the entire Splatfest weekend, and then I did the tri battles and was just my team was just getting murked, and we were the defending teams for most of those games too. But man, that Triforce battle arena that they made out of the Triforce. That should come back. I want that to stay. That was awesome.
It was good, but I gotta say about tri battles, they are severely. If you just have flawed. If you have a severely good four-member defending group, you're just screwed.
Yeah.
You're so screwed because the opposing side doesn't realize that you're supposed to like group up together to go against the four. It's supposed to be the enemy. My enemy is my friend until, but then you get petulant children who just want to kill you, and there I am like dying 10 times to my 2 kills because I'm trying to go for the ultra signal. And you know me, I don't like dying. I don't like a big disparity between my KD, man.
Yeah,
I don't like that big disparity. But there we are.
The problem with
our genitals in our hands.
Yeah, the problem with playing as a defending team, because I don't know why we were the defending team. I don't know if we had led at some point of the Splatfest, but regardless,
the halftime said power, which made no sense. I thought, might be.
I'm not sure exactly what the rule is for the tri battles, but anyways, we were the defending team for pretty much all the ones that I played. And the thing is with the defending team, if you got a good, I would say if 3 of the people know how to defend and you can cover each side of the thing. But what I was doing, because you know me,
sneaky.
Yeah, exactly. Was I was picking out the weakest team just by looking at the board and just thinking, okay, well, I'm gonna sneak into their territory and just lay weight because everybody's fighting for the middle, and you get splatted. You come out, you go back, and you're going for the middle again. That's what everybody's doing. So I would wait. I would look for somebody getting splatted, come back and go straight towards the middle. I'm just like, and then I just sneak in and just start taking their spot so that I can pull them out, so they can, and then my team can better defend. But
one of my,
nobody thinks in 4D chess like I do in Splatoon.
Well, one of the guys has actually kind of been somebody who would be giving you a fight for your money because he was smart enough to get a special, and special was a shield, and he tried to put that bubble around the ultra signal, which allowed his guys to kind of sneak up. I'm like good-ish because I want arrow because I only played like 3 rounds of tri battles because I had a very limited time.
That's a smart strategy, but I couldn't, and I had the shield too. I wasn't working with the Tenta missiles because I didn't feel like that would help me in this regard because I was on mainly weak teams.
Yeah,
and I just needed. Yeah, I was on mainly weak teams, and I was just trying to prop them up, and I was using the shield as a defense thing for myself more than anything else. As a good spot for people to super jump to, because I'm always in a position where like that's what's going on. And teams. I've noticed that a lot of people super jump to me. I finally kind of recognized that. Everybody keeps super jumping to me because I'm like deep into enemy territory most of the time.
Yeah, the rule of thumb is jump to you in the final 30.
Yeah, so
I'll have last ditch effort on me. I think that's my latest gear, so it's like a perfect timing for me.
Exactly. So I would just sit there.
I mentioned SIFU. It's a Steam sale, 25% off until May 15th.
I'm seeing it on the screen too. I think Steam's got a sale going into the summer. So
25%.
25%. How much is it? 60?
We're gonna do math here.
Is it 60 bucks right now? I'm gonna look.
SIFU on Steam.
I got my Steam app up on right now. Let me see.
Yeah, you gotta do the math.
And this will be the last thing, and then we're an hour 30. I want to get to the wrestling thing, and we're gonna end it. But SIFU, it's $30 right now.
Jesus Christ. Well, yeah, it's still a new game. So.
Well, it came out last year, so that's not bad for after a year.
I don't know. Remember who you're talking to here.
Oh, well,
how much I paid for this game was probably like $2. Would
I
pay 30 for it? Yes.
Okay, so it's 30. Okay, it's 30 bucks. 30 bucks.
I'll give that game 30 bucks. I'll tell you.
It's normally 40. It's normally 40, and I don't normally buy PC games, and when I do, it's because you point out the sale, and it's like $3.
You could get it for the Switch. I don't think that would be technically, capable.
Is it on the Switch? I don't think it's on the. Is it on the Switch?
Yeah.
They put that thing on the Switch. Okay, I guess. All right. I'm just always surprised.
You would really have to deep dive though. All right, so I paid a total of for SIFU. If Best Buy can tell me on my online order, the cost amount was $26.61. But what did I pay to use it?
And I feel bad. I feel bad. Like, I honestly, I don't like buying a PC game knowing that I'm not gonna get to it in like for at least another 6 months, because that's why it usually happens. Like when you point out the sale and it's like, oh, play this, I'm like, all right, it's $5. I'll get to it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, for me, I think it's because I had already picked up on the Black Friday deal because I knew it had just came out because it was on my radar. So $26.61. I had a gift card of $24.72. I paid a grand total of $1.89 for the game.
Beautiful.
So yeah. I mean, do it like I do. As
I'll
the Charles,
wait it out.
That's why we call it the way of Charles.
It might, and you know what? That might be one of those games that, at the end of the year, Epic Games has fantastic giveaways.
Yep.
And they that's probably one of those where they might just give that out for free. So I'll wait it out. It out. But if not, if it comes within $15 or whatever below that, I can stomach that.
15 is a fair point because I've already popped in 10 hours onto it. And that's me redoing it. Like that, there's not I can't find myself to replay Scarlet Nexus just to see the inside. Yeah. I'll just read the Wikipedia.
Have you seen the mods? I think I sent you a thing about the mods for it too.
I would definitely. Charles B. Just goddamn, that game's so good. That's all I can say.
Oh, all right. Well, I think that's it. I don't really want to talk about anything else outside of that. But it's an hour 33. We started late. I think we should just get to the wrestling talk, man, because you watched some stuff on Sunday.
I did, so let me get to the header. Welcome, everybody, your weekly Truplex to Cage with Charles. Remember, wrestling is not fake. It's a stage fight. It's a scripted fight. It's a story about men and women being the holy hell of each other, chasing legacies, establishing their legacies, chasing championships, winning championships, defending championships. It's a soap opera. It's also, depending on who it is, a connectivity of multimedia messing, around meshing. We're making a casserole here. Sometimes you have football players. Sometimes you have basketball players. Sometimes you have sports entertainers. Sometimes you have the most streamed artists, from Puerto Rico.
Sometimes
we're going to talk about
the Boricua in there, man.
Yeah, we gotta get it. We're going to. My God, the group chat. I can only say the jokes I was making there. We're going to talk about WWE in this one. AEW, Double or Nothing's coming out this month. We will talk about it when the time comes. I think it's May 27th. I will give you an all AEW show, kids. I promise you. Sneak preview. 4 Pillars, main event, pay-per-view that's going to happen for the AEW Championship. New Japan, Sonata, defending that title. Okada won a trios title. There you go. Impact, Macklin Peraza. That's all you need to know there. Ring of Honor, still kind of AEW in my eyes, what have you. AEW, I will say this. They're going to make a third show, Collision. Of course, I think it's what's going to be called. It's going to be aimed on the Saturday stuff. We'll see. I mean, that's too much wrestling for your boy. And if they use it the way Rampage is being used, that's the problem. They need stuff to advance the story and utilize the roster. But let's just talk about WWE. Did I talk about the new heavyweight championship that was established, or were we on break?
Like a new belt and everything like that?
Belt that was introduced, yeah. Did I talk about it on the show?
Nah, as far as... I try and remember the stuff, but maybe...
Yeah, I remember talking about it. I think that's when we just took the breakaways, got caught up. I don't want to spend too much time.
Because usually when the new championship comes out, they come out with the new belt and stuff, and we talk about that, you know?
Yeah, but we're going to do it next week. We're going to do it next week for this because it's later than usual, and at some point everybody has to see. All you need to know is Roman Reigns was hijacking that title for too long, and they created a secondary title, the new WWE World Heavyweight Championship, which confused me because I thought Roman had won the WWE World Heavyweight Championship off of Brock Lesnar, but they still have to figure stuff out too because they did the draft, and champions went on different brands. So, for example, the Raw Women's Champion is on SmackDown, and the SmackDown.
That's usually after the WrestleMania, right? That's
this time was at their Backlash. So once they decide what's going on with those titles, then we're gonna talk about the show. We'll do that portion next week. Backlash, pay-per-view, San Juan, Puerto Rico. Crowd is fantastic. American crowds suck. They were in Jacksonville last night for Raw.
Yeah, when you have like 2 chants and then in sporting events.
I've seen cadavers have more emotions. Yeah, guys.
That's why the World Baseball Classic gave me a new spirit for baseball.
It was just no bueno. But the pay-per-view itself, pretty enjoyable. There were some throwaway matches, but we're just going to kind of run it down. So Bianca Belair versus Io Sky for the Raw Women's Championship, despite the fact that both women are on SmackDown now. Good match. Bianca Belair retained. Damage control interfered, but it kind of cost Io, who's a part of that stable. Seth Rollins versus Amos. They had a match for about 10, 11 minutes. I enjoyed it. Amos has given me good 2 back-to-back pay-per-views because whoever's booking and producing his matches knows how to use him now, I think, because his match with Brock was enjoyable. And his match with Seth, and Seth can get a 4 or 5-star match out of you and I going against him, was very enjoyable. So I liked it. Austin Theory defended his U.S. championship against Bobby Lashley and Bronson Reed. Match was too short. According to Wikipedia, it was only 6 minutes and 50 seconds, and it felt that way. It was just kind of like the greatest hits, and then Theory retained. Rhea Ripley versus Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega is Puerto Rican. She came out with Puerto Rican attire. She's part of the LWO, and this is still a continuing food of the Mysterio versus Mysterio mindset.
Wait, LWO?
Latino World Order. So I have to explain this a little bit. So here's your learn and do section. Latino World Order was created around 1999, I think, and anybody wants to correct me. I can't know dates, everything, by Eddie Guerrero when he was, building this whole thing, and they had a feud with Rey Mysterio. So SmackDown, Rey for the last several months building up to his match against his son Dominic at WrestleMania, my favorite match at WrestleMania that had just passed. They reestablished the Latino World Order with Legado de Fantasma. So it's him, Joaquin Wilde, Zelina Vega, Santos Escobar, and Cruz del Toro. So they now have made up to the LWO. More on that a little bit later. But Rhea Ripley went against Zelina Vega. It was a good match.
I'm looking on the Wikipedia article for this.
Yeah, I mean, like, because to me, it's not the same LWO. That faction was a very short-lived faction where Eddie Guerrero was just trying to get all the disgruntled lucha libres.
October 5th, 1998 was its debut.
Yeah, I was off by a year. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm not perfect. If you want Jesus, go to church. If you want wrestling nonsense, come to Sports Goofs. Okay, if I could get that, Andrew would probably get queasy, like we're gonna get canceled, but that was a good statement. I'll give myself a pat on the back. Their match was good. It was short. It didn't really kind of pick up steam. But Rhea Ripley retained her Women's SmackDown Championship, even though she's going on Raw. I'm gonna skip the Bad Bunny match for a second. I'm gonna skip it for a second, and I'm gonna skip the Cody Brock thing because we're gonna end the show properly with the Cody hate. The Bloodline, which was Solo, Jimmy and Jay versus Riddle, Owens, and Sammy. It was fine. Match was too long. Bloodline retained, but it's going to advance the story because Roman's going to be pissed off, I would think. Some people are like, they just need to end the Bloodline. I'm like, yeah, but no. I don't want something to implode immediately when you already have, the Cody concept that's still out there if he's going to get Roman or not, even though he's on 2 different brands because Cody went to Raw and Roman's on SmackDown. But the idea is that I'm kind of invested in the basis of at SummerSlam, you have Roman and Solo Sikoa going against the Usos. I'm for that. So it's already June, basically. Let's wait it out. So Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, a little backstory. Bad Bunny is a big wrestling fan. Artist known for Shambea and Booker T and, Titi Muragunto and Party and all that fun stuff. This is what happens where my inner Hispanicness will come out for music. I get it. I understand it. It takes me 5,000 listens, but I get there. But I enjoy him. I enjoy his music, and I like the fact that he's a big wrestling fan because he wanted to be in WWE. He trained. His first WrestleMania match his first match ever was at WrestleMania.
Showing his intro right now.
Yeah, we'll talk about that for sure. His Mania match was 2 Manias ago, and it was a tag team match of him and Damian Priest going against Miz and Morrison. I think it's Damian Priest is also from Puerto Rico. So you have really a natural story that's built in. And I thought it was going to be a tag team match, and they end up having a singles match, and Priest was just basically messing with Bunny because Bunny interfered in the Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio match, right? Oh, I forgot to mention something about the Rhea Ripley and Zelina Vega match. I have to mention it. Zelina threw a chancla at Rhea, and my life was complete, because what was the one thing I was asking for in the WrestleMania match with the Mysterios? That chancla was used. But this was a nice little palate cleanser. It was great. It was just hysterical, because I think the most stereotypical thing about Hispanics is that there's a chancla involved. Even though I remember Andrew was like, what the hell? When I was beat, I wasn't beat with a chancla, I was beat with a broomstick. But that's a different story for a different day. Broomsticks hurt more, kids. Just don't be grateful that you have certain parents. And I only got hit twice in my life. And did I deserve it? Absolutely. Or do I wish it was a chancla? Hell yes. Just take your Robitussin. That's all I'm going to tell you, kids. Don't spit out for your mother when you're sick. God, my head hurts now.
Put that vapor rub under your throat and your chin and pretty much everywhere in your face.
oh yeah, right. So Bad Bunny went against Priest and San Juan's Own. They hated Priest, and the crowd. Chambeo was the song that was coming into the entrance to for Bad Bunny, and everybody was singing to it. The crowd was electric. It was a good ass match, man. Like Savio Vega, who is a part of Los Boricuas, he was a WWE loved, WWF loved, him and Austin had a couple good matches when Austin was paving the way to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. He gave Bad Bunny a special Puerto Rico kendo stick. So, I mean, it just means he gets louder when he hits people, right? Every ex-girlfriend's just knocking on my door for that statement. I got to go hide and run away now. The match was good. Priest helped carry Bunny properly. Bunny was doing good, taking shots. They told a good story about Priest, being the bigger guy and overwhelming Bunny, but Bunny didn't give up. And then they kind of did the callbacks, because of course Priest is part of the Judgment Day with Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio. So of course Rey came out and the others came out, but they also brought back Carlito. I spit in the face who people aren't cool. I remember seeing Carlito in 2005, and he would just bite into an apple and spit in your face, and he did a lot of stuff coming into it, and the guy hasn't aged at all. So it was
showing that intro right now.
Yeah, so the crowd got hyped, and then someone on Twitter posted that Carlito coming out of the Silent was the equivalent of Shane McMahon coming out in the U.S. And it's true, because everybody loves when Shane comes out. Crowd was hot for it. I was hot for it. I was like, oh shit! And then Savio Vega came out, and everybody just got beat up. And at the very end, Bad Bunny won with a Canadian Destroyer, which I guess you got to call a Puerto Rican Destroyer since they're in Puerto Rico. Sorry to for Petey Williams, who created the Canadian Destroyer as a move or perfected it, we're going to call it the Puerto Rican Destroyer. I would call it the Bunny Hop if it was me, because it kind of looks like a hop, but hey, that's just me being cute in that sense. Look, he's just eating the apple and he's going to spit out. It's fantastic. It calls to an event where the international pay-per-views have been much more superior crowd-wise than the States, because remember, we had the same thing in Cardiff, Wales for Clash of Champions, and I loved the energy of the team. And then Puerto Rico was just excellent coming into it. It was just a damn good match. It was a damn good environment. And for a pay-per-view that averaged at probably a C+ is what I would give it, that's not a bad thing sometimes. The concept of C's get degrees works a lot with wrestling. There's just, some things were in the backlog. But this, which was billed as a double main event, which was main event number 1, I would have just put it as the main event. We'll get there in a second. I was thoroughly sports entertained. I was thoroughly impressed. I was happy. I was enjoyable. It was good. It passed the phone test where I wasn't screwing around on my phone a lot. I liked it a lot. It was a good match. Let's get to the other match for the sake of time. Cody versus Brock Lesnar. Because, of course, the stupidest mistake that Vince McMahon, I'm still convinced that it's Vince McMahon booking this stuff now, at least with Cody's story. Mr. Dick Dastardly with his fucking mustache. Is that, and I was so good not cursing, and then we thought about Vince, is that they should have just had Cody beat Roman and move on with their lives, right? That's the play. That was the move. It goes from there, but that didn't happen. So Cody's next feud, you think would logically go to Roman. That didn't happen. It went to whom? Brock Lesnar, right? So it went to Brock, did that, and Brock never had the motivation to explain it, but they were going to put San Juan, Puerto Rico, Cody Rhodes, Brock Lesnar, and you're like, all right, Brock's either going to kill him or Cody's going to beat him. And the match was fine. Cody attacked him before the bell rang because he was so mad at Brock and wanted to give him a fight, and he beat him up a little bit. And in the match, it got, because Brock got some color in the terminology of wrestling means he bled, right? He got the crimson mask on, and Brock didn't blade. They had taken off one of the turnbuckles, and he went head first and started bleeding out. And the problem with this is that Cody was getting decimated. He kicked out an F5, so that's good. But Cody won because Brock had him the Kimura lock, which is like a back arm lock. And Cody just kind of rolled it up to get Brock on the 1, 2, 3. So it was a submission move that got rolled up, basically. Brock was already kind of sitting on his back a little bit. He got pushed into it. The problem is, man, is that to me, Cody looked inferior in every way, shape, or form of what a main event ought to be, even though he beat Brock Lesnar. And I know a lot of people have beat Brock Lesnar lately. It's not a big accomplishment these days. But Brock is literally having you in an arm bar, trying to rip your arm and break it, right? Break your forearm with bloody face. If you could get the right one, because I think they're just getting the beginning of the match as I'm seeing on Twitch. The guy is wearing a crimson mask, shouting at Cody. Looks like a pure goddamn animal. Like a Gorgon. You don't want to fight that. And then Cody just gets him, rolling him up 1, 2, 3 by outsmarting Brock. And that was the problem, is that it doesn't stop a push. They're going to have a rematch at Night of Champions because Brock beat the shit out of him last night. But for me, when you talk about iconic images, in that sense, I remember Brock just coming last SummerSlam with the forklift, and that was great. But I have this image of Brock having Cody in the Kimura, the arm lock, the arm bar, with bloody face, trying to get this man to tap out, and then you look like an animal. You look like a savage. You look like a titan. You look like a warlord, and then Cody just beats you because he was able to get your shoulders on that for 1, 2, 3, and you didn't recognize that you were getting pinned because you were so into it. You're so hyped up in adrenaline. Feels cheap, man. It feels cheap, and I know this is all about the redemption story because Cody is either going to win the Money in the Bank and then cash in on Roman because they're on different brands, so that's how you fix it, or Cody's just going to win the Royal Rumble again. Something's going to happen, and that's fine because I felt they still should have had Drew beat Roman. It seems pretty clear that you're really going to go with Cody. It's just you kind of made into a kerfuffle with this draft where I don't know how much of it is actually the networks of USA and Fox actually doing it versus story, but you put yourself in a position where you're not, to me, building up the guy because I think one side of the argument is that Cody lost at Mania because he had to prove to the people in the back end, to the viewership, that this guy just came back from a pec thing, and he had to show that he could have a main event match, even though he beat Seth a couple of times, right, 3 times, because a lot of people have beaten Seth at that point too. So the argument's there. But you missed it because now you beat Brock, but you're not even beating Brock in a way that I kind of like you beating Brock. You know what I mean? Like Bobby Lashley beat Brock Lesnar cheating in one match because Roman interfered. And then Bobby Lashley got Brock to get himself disqualified in the February pay-per-view by having Brock do a low blow to break out of the Hurt Lock. That says something to me, right? You can only do so much of beating a guy by outsmarting him. Because I'll tell you why. If Cody wanted to fight and Cody wanted to beat the hell out of Brock, outsmarting him just to get the 1, 2, 3 doesn't feel the same. You want to hurt and you want to destroy somebody. You literally started the match with Cody hitting him with steel steps and then going for a steel chair. Doesn't it make sense to have him end the match where when the match is active, the rest's not looking, then he low blows Brock? I think so. I don't think it's a heel move. You just want to embarrass the person, debase the person. But yet I'm left with this image of a bloody Brock who's not bloody because of the sneak attack, but he's bloody and he's trying to murder you. And then he just gets rolled up and he doesn't realize it. It doesn't fit. It just doesn't fit. It's kind of like it didn't stick the landing for me. And the feud's continuing. Brock murdered Cody last night, so that gave me a little bit of a tent, and that was great. But I don't know. I just don't like where they're going with the Cody stuff, man. And wasn't that the thing I told you when he came back from the pec injury? I'm like, this is not going to sit well with me. Sit well with me. The way they were. Oh, here you go. There's the roll up right there. That's how it ended. Brock's covered in a mask, and then it was just a quick 1, 2, 3. I'm like, ugh. It's the easy way out is the phrase I'll use. It's the easy way out to advance a story, and where you could have done is, if you're trying to tell the story of the good guy kind of cheating or getting physical, it's because he has had enough. He's had the boiling point, right? I like that, but yeah, that you're gonna be hearing me sucking my teeth every time it's Cody. I just rather have him the champion now and just let's see where we go with it. They messed up. They should have Cody win at Mania instead of getting this. Good pay-per-view overall. I liked it. Had some highlights. A Chancla was thrown. I can't say no to that. That's great. And then you got some good callbacks to Legends, and it was well constructed. And even for the match between Brock and Cody, it wasn't terrible. It's just as they always say, you always remember the finish. And that's all I got for you this week on the cage.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we wrapped it up pretty nicely. We did some things. We talked about some stuff. And we're back. We'll knock out some episodes and we'll see how the playoffs go for hockey and basketball next time. And that's it, Charles. I think we're done. I'm out.
We're good. Take
Bye-bye.
care.